because
Okay, I'll send you this picture.
all right, so just hold it on now. Good afternoon and welcome to another edition for Channels Beam, Google Plus Hangout, and today we're looking at sports for development in Nigeria. And joining me today on the program, I have two people joining me. First of all, we have Honorable Dr. Abubakar Amuda Kanike. He's a member House of Representatives. He's the Deputy Chairman, House Committee on Works and sponsor of the Nigerian Sports Bill. And we also have Philip. Yes, we have Philip Obaji. Thank you, Philip, for joining on board.
Yeah, it's a pleasure.
Of course,
Thank
Philip
you.
is a human rights educator and children rights advocate. He's also the winner of the 2014 Future Awards Africa Prize in Education. Thanks for coming on board once again.
Yeah, it's a pleasure. Thank you for having me.
All right. So let's begin with you, sir. Let's look at the role of sports first of all in even holding peace or in fostering peace in the country or generally worldwide.
So who goes first?
Hello.
Yeah, please go on, Honorable.
Thank you very much. You were talking about the impact that sports makes in fostering peace worldwide.
Yes, please.
I would like to say that the most active people in sports are the youths. And youths, because of the benefit of age and that part of their life, they could be restless if their energy is not properly channeled or harnessed for positive development or constructive engagement. So I see sports as a tool for harnessing the youthfulness into more purposeful objectives. And the youths enjoy the sports, and at the same time, it takes them off mischief. So you cannot but agree with me that sports, it's a way of engaging the youths in areas that are more productive, and it has also become a tool of engagement and employment. And so a lot of them have come to beyond just getting them off mischief to have a career path in sports. So it's a very veritable tool of ensuring peace and to make sure that the energy of youths are properly harnessed.
All right, thank you. We'll come back to you in just a minute. But then, Philip, for you, how do you see this playing out? That's now using sports to foster peace in Nigeria and even the world generally.
Well, luckily, lots of people and lots of organizations using such as a very veritable tool for peace enhancement and what have you. I remember, some time ago, I was involved in a Peace Day campaign to get lots of footballers play and urge people to embrace the message, of peace. And it's been working in many places. It's been working in Europe. It's been working in North America. And in many countries in Africa, many people have seen the need to use sports as that tool. Peace. I too also, on a personal note, in a couple of events I have held in Nigeria, I've had to use football message for peace. And participation in sports. And many people really, really like to use sports to pass on. And we're doing that. I don't think there's any better way to create an involvement than through sports.
All right, so Philip, we kind of lost you for a minute because your internet was kind of cracking, so we didn't really hear you. Can you come again? Yeah.
Okay, can you hear me now?
Yes, we can hear you now. I can hear you now, Philip. Go ahead.
Okay, thank you. I was saying that sports is one tool mainly to pass on that message. There are and sports. We all see it with of goes to the Golden Eagles. One day in action, there's lots of interest and lots of involvement from
All right,
Nigerians and people and wanting to.
Philip, it was even worse this time around. We really didn't get you, not for a second. But then, Honorable, let me just come back to you and get your thoughts. I mean, so if you look at the fact that now the issue of the sustainable development goals, the framework and even the associated targets is one of the burning issues that the United Nations is trying to push worldwide. How does sports key into this approach?
Yeah, definitely. When you talk about the Sustainable Development Goal, this objective will be easily better achievable when we properly harness the potentials of sports as a means of employment for the youth. The Sustainable Development Goal as one of its primary objectives, the engagement of youth, productively, and beyond proper upbringing and the kind of discipline that sporting activities instill in youth, it also serves as a means of engaging them, even in employment. We see that a lot of football academies are coming up everywhere in the world, and a lot of them are also springing up in developing countries like Nigeria and in other parts of Africa. And these football academies are like the youths already have, pre-chosen career paths. And for countries that believe in grassroots sports development, a lot of activities beyond football are also focused on developing talents in athletics and other sports where the countries feel that they have a comparative advantage. This is in no small measure a major, I would say, facilitator of the key policy objective of the Sustainable Development Goal. The flip side of this is to have a situation where you have youths that are not properly engaged, and they now become antagonists to issues of the Sustainable Development Goal. And I think sports play a very prominent role in trying to achieve the key objectives of Sustainable Development Goals.
All right, very well. Philip is back again. Philip, we couldn't hear you earlier on, but then you still have the opportunity again to, just give us a hint of how you think sports can foster peace in Nigeria and even the world at large.
I hope I don't go missing again. Well, it's, for and loss of individuals is from such a couple of years like sports, peace, and nothing else brings much participation. We also see it in teams engaged in international matches, from the Super to Golden Eaglets. From Nigeria out. I don't think there's any better tool that drives from football to athletics to basketball. That we it's created. Isn't that message? It's been working all these years.
All right. Again, we still were finding it hard to get you, Philip. If you can come again one last time, please. Philip, if you can come again.
Can you hear me now, please?
Yeah, we can hear you. I think it just goes all right.
Can you hear me?
Yes, I can hear you. Go ahead once again.
Okay. Okay. While you're with Honorable, I'll try to sort this out.
Oh no, okay. All right. All right, very honorable. Let me come back to you. So, yes, we believe you are the sponsor of the Nigerian sports bill. Tell us a little bit about the bill and what you want to see achieved if that bill goes through finally.
Thank you very much. We know that sports has not properly been developed in the country. We know the limitations and we know the challenges. What the bill hopes to achieve is to provide for the administration and management of sports in Nigeria, establishment of sporting institutions, and to harness sports for development. This bill is also going to formalize and legalize the sports commission, the National Sports Commission. We know is in existence, but it's not effectively backed by law. The bill seeks to back the existing, you could say it's existing illegally now. It seems to, it seeks to back the, it seeks to also very importantly seek alternative source of funding for sports development in Nigeria particularly, because the IOC and FIFA are very concerned about the independence of sports from government. And the only way you can achieve this is to make sure that you have the National Sports Development Fund, which the bill, clearly states how we intend to get revenue from companies in Nigeria. For instance, the bill seeks to say that all companies operating in Nigeria are supposed to contribute about 0.5% of their profit to a sports development fund, while the directly involved in the sport lottery would contribute about 2% of their profit to sports development. By the time you have this money and it's properly managed, the bill also puts in place proper management of a board that will properly manage the sports development fund and make sure that sport facilities and institutions are built, and we ensure that grassroots sports development, which is fast becoming a thing of the past in this country, is refocused on, and we can properly identify talents at very tender ages, provide the infrastructure and the technical support that we sharpen them to excel as good sportsmen. So in my opinion, this is a one-stop solution for sports development and sports administration in Nigeria. We have a problem of adjudication and the issue of legality as regards sports dispute. We don't have a sports court in Nigeria. We don't have any tribunal that can address issues of disagreement in sports. The lingering situation with the NFF is an example. You find out that a normal court system might not effectively address these issues. So it's not out of place to have a sports tribunal that will be constituted by the Judicial Commission, with the Sports Commission. So it is important that we have all this in place, and this will help the development and independence of sports in Nigeria, and it will also optimize the business opportunities in sports.
All right, very well. We can't wait to see that. But I'll come back again to take you on some of the things you talked about. Let me come back to Philip once again. Philip, if you can hear us, please come again.
Very well.
Yeah, sure. We can hear you too now. Go ahead, Philip.
Your question, please.
Okay, no, I wanted you to first of all talk about how you think sports can foster development and peace as well in Nigeria and even the world at large.
Like I said earlier, before you lost me and I lost you as well.
Exactly.
In many countries, we've seen how sports used to foster peace and also to foster development. I first talked about peace, and I said lots of individuals and organizations have been using the power of sports to pass their messages of peace, non-conflicts, and of human rights and what have you. And it's been effective in many ways. As a person, to come up with a couple of initiatives in the northeast of Nigeria where I've used sports as that tool, to pass messages of human rights and of non-violence and of peaceful resolutions. And the result was awesome. So it's worked for peace development, and yes, it can also work in many areas also as far as development in countries are concerned. I like what Honorable is doing with the sports bill. It will be really great if we have the National Assembly to this and then make this become a law. I know that in the past we've been a bit confused about how the National Sports Commission works in Nigeria. It's strange to find a National Sports Commission in place but not backed by law. I remember that after many years, President Obasanjo decided the National Sports Commission appointed a chairman and a minister, but there was no board in place, apparently because we don't have the full law backing the National Sports Commission. And sports development is really, really difficult when you're working without a commission in place. There's a limit at which the ministry can go in terms of sports development. The commission does many things, including recruitment, including employment and what have you. And for those states in Nigeria where we've seen a functional sports commission, like in Cross River State, like in Delta State, back in these commissions, and where we have boards in place for these commissions, we're seeing what's happening. In a state like Cross River, for example, we have 1% of profits from going to sports development. Even though most times the question is, do the governments really follow this law? The laws that creates these commissions. But I believe strongly that if Honorable Bill's scales through, becomes law, then we will see, we'll be one step changing things around in terms of sports development and those things that concern it.
All right. Very well. Yes, indeed. If it does pass through, that's one of the issues that will be focused much on. But then I was also going to ask. I mean, you are a child educator, right?
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, I mean, like you're a children's rights advocate and human rights.
Yes, that's right. That's right.
Yeah, educator. So yeah, how do you combine that role and trying to push for sports and use for peace and development using sports?
Well, children are also very, very important when it comes to development of a lot of things, including sports. And I'll give you a typical example. 2 years back, when we were in Borno State, in a place called Gamboru, we had some children who were Nigerian forces from Boko Haram. And these children really had to go through some bit of rehabilitation, some bit of counseling. And while we're going through that process, we noticed that when it comes to the late hours, the wee hours of the night from 9 o'clock, so restless, they want to return back to the bush. So what we decided to do was to create a football program each night, something that takes their minds off what they used to do when they were in captivity. And we began to create, and we found out that went a very far way, a long way of what they used to do when they were with. And that tells us exactly that if we begin as very useful and if we begin to see sports also as very useful for kids, then we'll go a long way into solving certain issues that has to do with youth, with children's restiveness and what have you. So it's very hard. I'm not thinking about such things that make them so happy and such things that takes their minds off what they used to do in the past. So that's the thing. If sports works very well, then we will have children who tender ages are trained and should the skills, are brought up in ways that maybe better footballers in future, maybe take to football as a kind of career, But all the same, children need to be engaged. That's why in schools we encourage play as well. It's not just about learning. Children should be able to get involved in sporting activities while in school. And there's a program we are already doing in Cross River State. It's play and sports and play. So we're trying to see how we can encourage play even at home after learning activities have finished in schools. So you cannot take the two away from each other. Play is important, learning is important, and we need to start early.
All right, Avera, let me come back to you, Honorable, again. The bill looks fantastic and sweet on paper, but one of the issues which apparently Philip also raised is the issue of implementation. How do we go past that if eventually this bill sees the light of the day?
Yeah, thank you very much. A very important part of the bill that is very germane is, first of all, to legitimize and legalize the existence of the Sports Commission. Once that is done and there's a proper selection of the chairman and the board members, there are set lines in the bill on how they are expected to administer the funds. A key concern is, how do we even get these funds? The 0.5% from companies that are operating in Nigeria and the 2% from companies in sports lottery in Nigeria. Important player in this matter is the FIRS. The bill sort of empowers the existing Federal Internal Revenue Service, gives them the responsibility of the collection of the funds from people that are in these categories. I'm talking about the companies that are supposed to pay 0.5% of their profit and the sport lottery agencies that will pay 2%. And once they collect this money, they're supposed to properly channel the payment to the National Sports Development Fund. That has a laid down policy on how to intervene in sports infrastructure and sports activities. I also quickly want to say that since you're talking about the sustainable development goals and the role of sports, this bill also talks about the dope or drug-free sports. It's a very, if you look at the situation that happened at the last Olympics and the stain that the issue of doping wanted to leave on the Olympic sport. It is important that legislation should be in place to make sure that as a nation, we don't find ourselves in a situation where we need to try and defend ourselves or, withdraw our athletes. So, and if you look at the Sustainable Development Goals and the role of youths, sports, I must underscore the fact that sports keep youths away from the likelihood of drug abuse, because the very regimented nature of active sports participation and the desire and the key need to be focused and well balanced in your thoughts to excel in sports, so more positively than, and keeps you away from drugs. And the other drug that is of concern is performance enhancing drugs. This bill also makes sure that we put in place to make sure that athletes in Nigeria are not tempted into the use of performance enhancing drugs. I just want to say in a nutshell that the bill is enshrined with guidelines and policies that will make sure that implementation is not only effective but impactful and is sustainable.
All right, very well. We'll soon be wrapping up, but then Philip, let me come back to you. You are a member of the Commonwealth Youth Sport for Development and Peace Network, and from my understanding, you also had some recommendations for the bill. Can you talk about a few of those?
I was a member of the Sports Policy Formulation Committee, so for sports development, and a working document that will with sports development in Cross River. And I think I can make, a few what Honorable is doing with the bill. First of all, like I said earlier, it's very, very, I don't think that sports development is just a ministry to handle. We need to see a sports commission, a functional in this country that will deal with many issues, including, like I said, of athletes and making sure that programs, elite athletes development programs that are very, very effective now in this country. And there are a couple of states that have a commission backed by law, established by law. Cross River, Delta State is another. And we'll see the difference in terms of performances of athletes from these states when they go to sports, national sports meets. It's always between Delta, Cross River, and maybe a years. So that's how much get when you have a commission that really is functional. I really will want to see. I think the provisions of this bill makes so much sense, especially as it has to do with the establishment of a national sports commission. But I want to see something that my challenge is if the government, even when this law, even when this will play, if the government will really be serious about certain provisions of the sports commission, like of having 0.5% of profits of companies going into sports. We'd like to see how much we can. But it is very great. I've seen this work elsewhere, and I know. So congratulations to Honorable. I must really commend his efforts.
Thank you. Thank you very much. Thank you.
All right. Let's wait for the bill to see the light of the day before congratulations begin to roll in. I'm not saying they're coming too early, but then, Philip, thank you for joining us. But just before we go, what would you say in closing? What would you like to see from what we have in terms of sporting facilities in the country, and even administration and development?
Very, very serious. The last time we won a gold medal at the Olympics was in 1996, and I tell you how our sports is dwindling, and we need to be serious. That's why I think that this bill by Honorable should be supported. We may be able to have a bipartisan support for this bill. So government at all levels must take sports development as some essential. Children have to also play in schools. So from the school level, we need to see, sporting equipment and what have you, sports in schools. I remember that before now we made provisions where one of the requirements we made in the sports policy formulation document in Cross River is that any school that has to be approved by government have a football field as a prerequisite for. So we must take sports, very serious in this country, and we can start by.
All right, thank you very much, Philip, for joining us and sharing your thoughts on this. Honorable, also let's get your own closing remarks in terms of what Philip just talked about.
Thank you very much. For closing, I would like to reiterate the fact that we need to pay very, very, very important attention to sports development and sporting activities in Nigeria. And this bill needs support from all and sundry, because I see it as an empirical solution that are mitigating against the advancement of sports in this country, and that are militating against the optimization of the benefits that domiciles in sports and sporting activities. I want to say that, like my colleague, my fellow discussant mentioned, we have seen instances where this has worked in the USA, even in Kenya. When you talk about African countries, they've been able to optimize the potentials and the benefits of having policy in place that chaperones sports and sports development in their country. I think as a nation, we have the people, we have the talents, we have the numbers, and all we need to do is to organize ourselves and optimize these potentials that besides in Nigeria. Thank you.
All right, like you said, we have to optimize ourselves and ensure that the potentials are harnessed and, of course, harnessed to get the desired results for Nigeria and for Nigerians. But then that's where we have to wrap it up. Thank you for joining us, Philip Obaji. You joined us from Calabar.
Thank you, Victor. Thank you.
Of course. And then also Honorable Abubakar, you joined us from Abuja, if I'm not mistaken.
Yeah, you're correct. Thank you.
All right, very well. Thank you for joining us. That's, of course, the Federal Capital Territory. But that's where we'll wrap it up. It's Google Plus Hangout for Channels Beam. Thank you for watching. I am Victor Matthias.
Thank you.